So if you're somebody who is thinking about making a transition into advising a board about that stuff,
Mm.
perhaps you're not going to be a board member yourself, but you often
Yeah.
are tapped on the shoulder and asked questions like that because you display that kind of thinking. You know how to ask the right questions.
Mm.
What does it take to prepare for for that role? What kinds of questions do those
Yeah.
individuals need to be asking themselves?
I think what you specifically refer to is coach and uplift the board, whether
Mm,
as an advisor or as a member. And the one will likely lead to the other. And certainly that's part of my trajectory that's been one leads to the other. And in fact, just to kind of give you, mine started out with the board recognizing that they're not doing enough innovation, automation, change. And it was, they were building an innovation subcommittee. And then once we started looking at it, we realized we're going to take too much agency away from the business. We kind of want to get the business to own the agency. So we have an advisory board that does innovation, but really what we need to do is keep the accountability at the board for AI, for innovation, for where the capital goes. So what have I learned as a result of doing that? I think it's very, like I touched on this earlier, but it's very humbling to realize how much you don't know, to realize how we talk in code and high level with the people that we tend to hang out. So the translation of this very high level systems thinking, where we enjoy the complexity, to the board's need for talking in easy language, easy sentences. It's not lazy, it's actually, wisdom on the other side of complexity. That's a skill that I've had to learn. I can do it for operations, but once I start talking about AI and the dependency on the operating system as a system of systems, that's a new skill that I'm still learning. And what I'm finding, you talked earlier about different board members, the one who's in a rush, you have to use skills to slow down that conversation, saying, hey, I'm not ready to
mm,
answer it. We have to sit in the ambiguity first. Or the one who's humble, make sure that we don't pull them into the area where we're comfortable and meet them where they're at. Because ultimately the board still needs to operate in, wisdom, not in knowledge, but in wisdom. And so I think that's the first thing. Like, it's really important that we learn how to change the way we explain what we're doing. And then I think the second part is to manage the expectations of the board that this is going to require that we look at more detail than we used to. We're going to have to be more comfortable with asking questions we normally don't ask, and then hold, especially the ELT, accountable. So technology projects is a great one because a lot of technology projects are somewhat disconnected from operations, where we come and we buy innovation through tools and technology. And I think where we can be really good, but people don't think like this, is to bring the angle of integration. If we can explain integration as a systems integration, not just tools, but systems, process, capabilities of people and technology, I think that makes a big difference. And the third one is, like, I think you touched on it earlier, is exposure. Like I touched on the example of, let's go look at your sustainability report. But there are so many of these AIs that people can access, consumer or industrial, that are becoming quite special. And so if we can give that exposure and at the same time double click how integration happens. So don't show a tool on its own, show a tool, and the paradigm you want is integration. The paradigm you want is systems thinking at the wisdom end. The paradigm you want is, how do I get the board conversation to stay at wisdom? So those are probably three things I would
yeah.
advise someone that wants to go on this journey. It's really exciting too. You can have fundamental impact. Like, just a few conversations can save weeks and months of project and a lot of burnt capital because you're not building the wrong thing anymore.